When The Undertaker first emerged into the WWF, his gimmick was that of a Western mortician. Though his original debut is inaccurately marked as being at the 1990 Survivor Series, he still stunned all 16,000 in attendance and thousands watching at home, as he made his way down to the ring as a force to be reckoned with. For a short amount of time, he wrestled as Kane the Undertaker, but after a TV taping and Gorilla Monsoon mistakenly mentioning the name at the pay-per-view, the name would be dropped in favour of just keeping his moniker as The Undertaker. Of course, the name Kane would be given to Glenn Jacobs 7 years later. His gimmick, however, would stay the same for a number of years, with subtle changes being made over the years. A rebirth of The Undertaker in 1994 saw him returning after recouping from a nagging back injury with a different attire of purple gloves, boot covers and tie. Another rebirth in 1996 saw The Undertaker change his attire to all black and at one point entered the ring with a more elaborate entrance of descending from the rafters, with bat-like wings. At the time, 1999 saw one of The Undertaker's most drastic change of character, turning heel and forming the Ministry of Darkness. Draped in a black hooded robe with a Satan-like goatee, The Undertaker would be more demonic than ever. During the gimmick, however, The Undertaker suffered a groin tear and was seen limping in several matches. Even though he was hardly wrestling and on a few occasions provided commentary for other matches, it was clear The Undertaker needed time off to recuperate. 3 days before 1999's Unforgiven pay-per-view, The Undertaker would kayfabe refuse to participate in a casket match against Triple H, walking out and initiating the process of recovery. Whilst The Undertaker's character had changed numerous times over the decade, it's still arguable that the changes were still connected to his original character. It's believed during this time, The Undertaker was going through his darkest days of his career and not caring for the corporate ministry gimmick. He would mention on his WWE DVD special, the ministry was kind of the last facet of the dark side stuff. I'm not sure it was such a good idea to have the ministry join with the corporation. It was all about the McMahons and meant that The Undertaker was no longer leading the pack. However, after an 8-month hiatus, The Undertaker would finally make his return, aptly at 2000's Judgment Day pay-per-view. Shockingly, The Undertaker ditched his former deadman personas, appearing as a biker and would now be known as the American Badass. He ditched the characteristic-like fog and organ music during entrances, in favour of now sporting sunglasses, a bandana and riding a Harley Davidson motorcycle down to the ring, with Kid Rock's American Badass theme playing as he enters. Whilst Redditor Saint Ridley concocted a hilarious but glorious explanation of why The Undertaker changed his gimmick in kayfabe terms, what was the real reason for the radical change? When considering his new image, Mark considered what his fans might enjoy the most. For years, people have wanted to know, what's The Undertaker really like? What's he like when he's at home or on the street and not on television? Mark decided that on his return, the fans would get to see just that. The real Mark Calaway. On Bruce Pritchard's Something to Wrestle With podcast, he gave us a short explanation on why The Undertaker swapped his deadman character in favour of a biker gimmick. The American Badass was just a reinvention for Taker. It was something to get him out of the deadman persona and to be able to let that character grow. I don't think that Vince ever saw The Undertaker in its original incarnation being gone forever. But I do believe that Mark saw the American Badass as a character he wanted to be. He wanted to be The Undertaker, but not having to do the dead man walk and the signature Undertaker stuff, if that makes any sense to you. Undertaker Mark Calaway is a motorcycle riding badass son of a gun. The American Badass character was more true to who Mark Calaway is than I guess the Undertaker character, and he liked it. Whilst Bruce Pritchard believes The Undertaker's character to be a reinvention, in a 2015 interview with Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso, Kevin Nash revealed he wanted The Undertaker to come to WCW, and the gimmick change was the only way how. "We had Taker close," said Nash, referencing when The Undertaker was a free agent in 2000 and was unhappy with the direction of his character. All of a sudden, he wasn't the dead man. He became the American Badass for a reason. That dead man wasn't gonna f***ing come to WCW. He would have been the biker character and gone by Mark Calaway. Of course, The Undertaker made his decision to be loyal to Vince. and continued to work in the WWF. Through the next few years, Taker would make even more changes to his biker gimmick, turning heel, cutting his signature long hair, modifying his style of wrestling into a brawler, and showing a more aggressive side than ever before. The gimmick would last until The Undertaker was kayfabe buried alive by Kane at 2003 Survivor Series. Many of The Undertaker fans were relieved when he would make his return at WrestleMania 20, once again accompanied by former manager Paul Bearer and returning to his dead man character. His supernatural powers and mind games resumed, together with his signature poses, long hair eventually, and his signature sit-up. Taker would mention, "The key to longevity in this business," he said of his return to the old gimmick, "is keeping what it is that you're doing fresh. Evolving as a wrestler and evolving as a character. I think that's one of the keys to my success. The Undertaker has evolved from when he first came here. I continue to expand people's minds and expectations of what they're going to get from The Undertaker. I am the same person. I believe in the same things. I have a lot of the same characteristics. But what people have watched through this past decade is the evolution that has brought us to where we are today." Bruce Pritchard would also add on his podcast, "They knew the dead man, and that's what they wanted. They wanted their old Undertaker. They wanted the dead man. They wanted the head snap. They wanted the tombstone." We can agree some fans hated the change and some fans loved it, but the reversion of the character may have also come from Vince McMahon. As sources indicated, he never liked the American Badass character. In an interview with Wade Keller on PW Torch Livecast, former WWE creative team member Andrew Goldstein revealed one subject he learned quickly you are not to bring up around Vince McMahon when it comes to The Undertaker, and learning of the unwritten rules when it comes to the boss. It's a freight train, and you're just running alongside it, and you jump inside the car, and you're just along for the ride, and you gotta catch up to speed on your own. They're not stopping to catch you up on. Well, when you have a meeting with Vince, don't bring up The Undertaker when he was the American Badass, because Vince hates that. Nobody tells you that thing, those picky things that Vince or Stephanie and Michael Hayes don't like. There's no guidebook. Reality was 100% different than I thought it was going to be. It's so funny. I brought it up. I was just like, oh, I love the American Badass gimmick. I loved hearing Undertaker cut actual promos and come down on a motorcycle and come down with contemporary music and be sort of human. Bruce Pritchard shot me a death look that said don't ever bring up that in front of Vince because Vince is so protective of Undertaker's character and mystique. And rightly so. It's money. As Triple H has been saying, there's equity in the mysterious mystique of Undertaker. From that moment on, The Undertaker never stopped being the dead man character. As The Undertaker left his trademark hat, coat and gloves at WrestleMania 33, we assumed it was an end of an era, with Taker seemingly marking it as his last match. Recently, however, Cena has challenged The Undertaker to a match at WrestleMania 34. So far, the dead man has not yet responded to the challenge, but rumours persist The Undertaker will return under his American Badass gimmick at WrestleMania 34. The coincidence of Kid Rock being inducted into this year's Hall of Fame has brought about the idea The Undertaker returning under his biker gimmick, with his original theme being performed by Kid Rock as he enters. In our opinion, it would be foolhardy to ruin such a bittersweet ending to last year's WrestleMania. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. What did you prefer? The Phenom or the American Badass? Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.